Hi guys, hope you're good. Just a very quick analysis of Ethereum slash USD. Yeah, so here we go. Um, so you guys can see that I've got the monthly chart open, and the first thing that I can already see is that we have a head and shoulders pattern in this region. There goes the left shoulder, the head, as well as the right hand shoulder, with the neckline being somewhere in this region over here, right? Excuse me. So let's continue. So what else do we see? What else do we see on this chart that is interesting? So over the fact that we have that head and shoulders pattern, we also have a W structure in this region with a neckline somewhere over here, right? Um, sorry. Another thing that we have on this chart is this gap over here. And what this says to us is that we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting in that region, and that actually, in my humble opinion, this entire move to the bottom was so that price can come to this area here where we have that that gap, just to grab that liquidity. Chances are, once the liquidity has been grabbed, we might see the market then push further up, right? So let's continue. So before we continue, actually, I'm just gonna add a neckline to that W structure that I just drew. This one, that is, and I said that it's got a neckline over there. Just bear with me. And just keep in mind that um, necklines are areas. They're not an actual line, but rather um, areas, or an area rather. In this particular case, there goes our neckline. There we go. Right. I'm also gonna mark this area over here where we have that gap. Just bear with me. It is a very important area. Let's mark it like this. There we go. So the next thing that I'm going to do is actually add, or rather use the Fibonacci retracement tool, just to see if any key levels that we have on the tool align with our neckline. Just bear with me. There goes our fib. Yeah, so there goes our Fibonacci retracement tool. And we can see that none of the key areas actually align with this actual neckline over here. So that's fine. I'm just going to delete this tool and proceed. Before we head down to the weekly chart, is there anything else that we see on this chart that is actually important? I don't see much really. However, I will add a neckline to that head and shoulders pattern so that we don't forget about it. It's also a very important area, and it's going to serve as an area of or rather it's going to serve as the neckline of that structure, which is the head and shoulders pattern, and it's going to be an area of resistance as well. Excuse me. There we go. So from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the weekly chart, as I had said, and here we are on the weekly chart. Let's see. There goes our weekly chart. Our actual head and shoulders pattern is actually better visible here on the weekly chart more than on the monthly chart. There we go. So what else do we see on this chart that is interesting? We also have in this region a gap. So that's also another liquidity area, and it tells us that the market has to at some point go back to that level to grab that liquidity, and possibly push further down or even go up further. Another thing that is interesting is that we in this region have an overextended information with a neckline there. However, at this point in time, we won't be focusing on this information as well as this neckline, and that is because we are focusing on this huge head and shoulders pattern which has a neckline over there. So should price close above this area, that's when we will consider this information. That's when we will consider this overextended information as well as its neckline. But for now, it is irrelevant, and let's not pay any mind to it. So let's continue. So what else do we see on this chart that is important? Let's see. Um, we also have in this region or rather a bearish candlestick with a long body and a small, or rather with a small body and a long lower wick. So it is also a liquidity candlestick, and it tells us that the market at some point has to go down there to grab that liquidity. I'm just going to add a line to it as well so that we don't forget about it. Just bear with me. There we go. That should be fine. There we go. Yeah. So I don't see anything further, guys, in as far as the weekly chart of Ethereum is concerned. So what I'm going to do right now is head down to the daily chart. Let's see. Here we are on the daily chart. The first thing that I'm going to do on this chart is plot my equidistant lines. Just bear with me. Let's see. How would I add my equidistant lines? Okay, I'll do it this way. I just need to ensure that they are as accurate as possible, just to ensure that at the end of the day, when I do ultimately execute my buys and sells, they too are as accurate as can be. There we go. Just bear with me, guys. There we go. There we go. Right. So we are now on the daily chart. So what do we see on this chart that we should be looking at? So I can see that in this region we had an information, price broke the neckline, then went back to the neckline to retest it. We would have looked for further selling opportunities at that point. I can also see that we had another information here with the neckline there. However, we never got to see price come back to the neckline to retest it. And then we saw in this region price trying to create a W structure, with a neckline over there. However, um, it only created the second leg of the W, but then it pushed further down from there. So that's not important. We also have in this region a small, oh sorry, we also have a small information in this region with the neckline being there. We're yet to see price come back to the neckline to retest it and push further down. So should price from where it is come to this region again, we will definitely be looking for a sell, and that's because we have an information here, and its neckline is there. To add to that, we also have that huge head and shoulders pattern that I spoke about, which also has a neckline in the same region. So that is confluence. We've got many reasons for why we would be looking for selling opportunities at that point. That's because number one, we have this huge, or rather small M structure with a neckline there. Number two, we have that huge um, head and shoulders pattern over there, and its neckline is also there. So should price come back here, we would definitely be looking for possible selling opportunities. So what I'm going to do now is actually just add the Fibonacci retracement tool. I just want to see if the neckline of this M actually aligns with any of the key numbers. If it does, it'll give us even more reason to be looking for selling opportunities at that point. Just bear with me. Let's see. Yeah, so unfortunately, okay, let me just actually do this quickly. Just bear with me. Yeah, so actually none of the key areas of Fibonacci align with the neckline, so that's fine. I'm just going to delete this and proceed. Right, so what else do we see, guys, on this chart? Another thing that I see, which is interesting, is that price may be in the process of forming a W structure here. There goes the first leg of the W, and there goes the second leg of the W. Um, some of you may say that it is in the process of forming a head and shoulders pattern as well. However, it is not yet complete, as this current candlestick, which is the daily candlestick, is yet to close. Nonetheless, we need to keep our eye on that and just pay attention. Another thing that is very important is the fact that we have this candlestick over here. It is also a liquidity candlestick, and it tells us that the price, or rather price, still needs to go down to grab that liquidity. So there we go. Let's see. So what else do we see on this chart that is interesting? I don't see anything further, guys. So what I'm gonna do now is head down to the H4 chart. Just bear with me. Alright, so here we are on the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, it seems as though that price is actually moving sideways. Price is actually consolidating. Um, and as I said, we may have what seems to be a W structure here, with this being the first leg and this point being the second leg. And possibly we might have a third leg on this side, which would make the structure a head and shoulders pattern, or rather an inverted head and shoulders pattern in this um, region, right? Anyway, let's proceed. Let's see. Actually, what I'm gonna do is actually add my trend lines. Just bear with me. Let's see. I can do this. Do it like this. There we go. That's the first one. And add the second one in this manner, forming a triangle. There we go. So as I said, guys, price is moving at the moment sideways in this region, and at this point in time, I don't see any possible buying or selling opportunities. Just bear in mind that we have this gap over here, and the fact that we have another M formation over here with the neckline being there, and the fact that we have that huge head and shoulders pattern. I had mentioned that ideally, rather, I would love to see price come to this level to retest it, and then this is where we would look for possible selling opportunities. Because as I said, guys, there is scope for price to actually head down, because um, let me go back to the weekly chart. There's scope for price to go down because of this gap over here, as well as the fact that we have a W structure over here and the neckline that still needs to be retested by the market. So let me just go back to the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, over and above us having this triangle over here, just bear with me, guys. Over and above us having this triangle over here, we also just need to note that we also have an information in here with the neckline being there, right? And we're yet to see price come to that neckline to retest it. So as much as we're saying that we see this structure possibly happening, we just need to keep this information in the back of our minds, because what may actually happen is price from where it is may come to this level to retest it and then push further down to those other levels that I spoke about on the bigger time frames, right? Or what may happen is that price may actually not respect the neckline of this M structure and actually go up and break both the neckline as well as this trend line over here, and then close on this side. So should that happen, I would wait for price to come back to this level to retest it, and this is where I would look for possible buying opportunities. Why would I look for buying opportunities? That is because number one, we have, as I said, this small M formation here with a neckline there, and number two, we have that huge inverted, or rather that huge head and shoulders pattern, which also have a neckline in the same region. Number three, we also have this gap over here, and there's a lot of liquidity stuck where that gap actually ends. So there's actually scope for price as well to go up, right? So that is what I would do, guys. And at this point in time, as I said, I do not see any buying or selling opportunities, but I do know that other people or other investors and traders are actually waiting for price to bounce off this trend line, and they will be looking to be buying. And that is because we have a first touch over here, a second touch over there, and a third touch over there. And to add to that, we also have this formation forming, right? So that'll be confluence in the minds of many people, and they will be looking to buy at this region. Others are gonna wait for the neckline of this W structure or inverted head and shoulders pattern to be broken, and they will be buying at this point, and their first take profit would be this point over here, right? So that is it, guys, in as far as my analysis goes of Ethereum USD. If you have any further questions, just let me know. Thanks for watching, guys, and peace out.